Hi, this is Jerry Shee with the Washington Post. I have a question for you, Mr. Minister. So we've so far at this event, we've talked a lot about the use cases of 5G, and my question was about what is the policy vision in terms of 5G gear manufacturing for India, and if that exists, because obviously, many of the tech powers in the U.S. and in Europe, they have their own sort of major players, right? And China as well. You have Cisco, you have Ericsson, you have Huawei, ZTE. As John had said earlier, there are national security concerns of sort of not having your own makers. So is that something that you think the government will promote, and when and how could we potentially see, I guess, a competitor out of Chennai or Bangalore competing with Amit's Nokia?
So the answer to that question, in a simple one word answer, is yes. That is clearly something that we are doing. We see, and look, I don't want to bore you with the like a technology gyan today, but networks are increasingly going to be built on open systems as virtualized networks that run on essentially, whether it's called open source systems or open systems, and there are going to be fewer and fewer pieces in the network that are going to be proprietary black boxes. So the world of, let us say, so when you say Cisco, you can have any router in the network and it could be it's a router. It's not like a switch in the early days of 4G or 3G that we thought of as a proprietary technology for Nokia or Siemens. That is the direction in which the world is going and networks are going. So that plays to our strength, because a large part of the development teams of Open RAN for Qualcomm or many other providers are designed in Bangalore, Hyderabad. So if you take a call that the future of networks is going to be more virtualized networks, more of these kind of open networks, softwareized networks, then you will find that it is not necessary to have a Cisco as a headline name or a Huawei or a Nokia as a name to be designing that future network. Number one. Number two, yes, there are companies like Tejas Networks, there are companies like Sankhya Networks that are all today at different pieces of the ecosystem of the network gear. And it is clearly our objective and goal that there will be more Tejas networks, there will be more Sankhya networks, and 6G, for example, will be more and more India designed gear, India made gear, which is not to say this is going to be a protectionist network like China is, or that we create this artificial island of subpar performance. It will be global standard performance networks. And into the mix, if finally Ericsson and Cisco equipment have to be brought in, they will be brought in. But clearly they will be from trusted geographies, trusted countries, trusted sources.
Yeah, Minister, this is Rajavesh Varma from ZDF German Television. Yeah. You just mentioned about the government catching up with the technology, and now we are going to have a real leap in technology as we hear. So has the government, along with the other stakeholders, already preparing for, as you said, there are criminal minds and there are smarter people doing that. So anticipating, there must be some criminals who would be anticipating how to. So is the government also trying to do already a countermeasure, planning stage at least, or what should be done and how it should be done?
Our policy making around the internet is guided by three boundary conditions or three principles: openness, safety and trust, and accountability. These three words, phrases, guide us on everything we do. Safety and trust is an obligation that we take seriously, because if there are 1.2 billion Indians online, and they are youngsters who use the internet for studying, there are women who use the internet for a multitude of purposes, elderly people who use the internet, it is absolute duty on our part to make sure that they use the internet as a safe and trusted place. So safety is an absolute important area for us to be focused on. Without telling you too much, I can tell you that the capabilities that we have in terms of situational awareness of the internet, where bad things happen, where bad things are coming from, where bad people live, where bad people do bad things, is significant. I can't tell you more than that. But our capabilities are not, we're not flying blind, or like for people of pilots, we're not flying VFR and IFR weather. We know, we have our instruments, we know where to look for what to look. But like I said, there are some that get through the breaches and they do what they have to do. And we have the ability to forensically get back and see where they came from. So this is always going to be like we are ahead of them, the bad guys, for a little while, then the bad guys get ahead of you a little while. But this is not a game that ever has a end point. It's a constant struggle to remain ahead of the bad guys, and like the story should always end with the good guys winning. So I hope we will have the good guys win eventually, every time.
Although the time is over, there was a very small question. With the internet, day by day the cyber and other crimes are increasing. While giving the connection, why now there is much awareness for the users on the part of the internet connection given, on the part of the responsible users?
I think that we do a lot of that. We create a lot of cyber security awareness programs. We do cyber swachhata workshops. There is a lot that we do, but eventually, finally, it is for service providers, platforms who we don't have. As you know, the government has very few customers. Most of the consumers who connect with the government are connecting behind a platform. So the platform managers, the platform management have a job to do of educating people about the do's and don'ts, and we do it. The government does it. I think.
There is no regulatory measure.
Excuse me. We'll take the last question and we'll wrap up on this. We'll take the last question, Sanjay, and after we'll wrap.
Hi, I'm Sanjay. I work for ITD in London. I have a question. I started having a mobile phone probably when it was launched. And I had a Hutch connection. My question is, we are all gung-ho about utopian UX from the 5G and all that. What are you going to do to improve the current connectivity, call drops in the 4G and 3G connections? Because
I will hand over that mic to those of you.
No, Rajeev, you were a telecom entrepreneur. You were one of the first that you can also talk about
If you Google my battles with the telecom operator, just Google it when I was writing. You'll get a good sense of what my views are on that.
What exactly is the company
I think it's a little bit more involved in that. So for one thing, we take our network seriously. You must look back 2 years that we were in the pandemic to be grateful for the network warriors that actually put their lives at risk in order to make sure all of us could stay connected. When the traffic moved from offices to homes overnight, they did what had to be done to basically ensure that that happened. So I'm just saying it not from a position of being immodest, but just to put the facts out there. Okay. That said, there are concerns that people do have. There are many people that have misguided views of what can happen with telecom towers around their vicinity, and that often means that in many often affluent places in the country as well, people don't give us site access, right? And that's an issue that's understood by the industry. That's an issue that's understood by the government. We're working together to make sure that they are aware of what it takes, that there is no risk to people or to health, but that you need to have more towers and more sites available in order to ensure that you have good quality networks. I'm just kind of saying that it is a little bit more than just saying the networks. There are measures that are very objective, and they're also based on feedback from customers in order to deal with network issues. Thank you.
Thank you.